guessed it, God and everything. And this is the month of October, which is both Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And before we go on over to our subject of domestic violence, I do want to reiterate how important it is to have your mammograms done yearly. Don't allow anybody to tell you that you don't need one, that you don't, if, if everything been going good, then you good for 3 or 4 years. No, do your monthly examinations. Pay attention to your own bodies. If you feel something that feels weird, you need to go get that checked out. Do not wait. Do not prolong the time, because it could very well be benign. It could very well be nothing at all, but nobody will know that if you don't go and get that taken care of. Or it could be something very, very seriously. And early detection is the first defense towards this deadly, deadly disease. So I want to encourage you to please, please, please make sure you're doing your monthly exams and get a yearly mammogram. I'm on the book. I know what it is. Can't nobody play with me with that, because I lost a sister at the day before her 36th birthday to breast cancer. And so those of you that are survivors, praise God. That is such a blessing. But you spread the word. You be the example. You talk to everybody, young girls that, sometimes they think, because I got youth, it won't happen to me. But I know a young woman that was 22 years old that was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it can happen to you. So don't think that it can't, because it can. Just be proactive in your health. And so we thank God for, the month of October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well. It's just so much. Domestic violence is such a huge topic, and layers are pulled off. And we have an expert with us today. This is her third week with us, and we thank God that she has been available these first 2 prior weeks, and now she's here with us for her third and final day. And we just thank God for her life. We thank God for all the information that she has given to us on this platform. I had an opportunity yesterday to be on a show called Jewels in This Crown, where myself and Katrina Deal McCall were guests. And we were talking about domestic violence. And I quoted Cheryl, because the host asked me, what are some of the signs? What are some of, the triggers that we can look for with someone in terms of that individual being a predator, right? First thing I said was, we're not gonna talk about the signs of the predator. If my son start walking behind me, I appreciate it. We gonna go that way though. He just keep walking back and forth like, hey, I ain't on the air. And it's a whole nother way you can walk. And so the first thing that I said was, no, we're not going to answer that question first. We're going to answer the question, what's in you that will draw you to that person? And because that was the question that I asked Dr. Cheryl last week, and she stopped me right in my tracks. No, we gonna get to that. But first, we want to know, what is it about you that you are drawn to a predator? That you are drawn, and that's with just about anything, for real. You're drawn to an alcoholic. You're drawn to the drug addict. You're drawn to a cheater, and each relationship that you have had in the past has a pattern of that same behavior. And at some point, you got to stop in the middle and say, you know what? And I don't care if it's in the middle of everything going on, and some got to click in your mind and say, you know what? This is not that. And I am not going to continue to live my life like that and and keep allowing myself to be victimized and yet blaming the other person. But if you get healed and you get free and you get delivered, I promise you, them jokers will run from you like you the plague. They'll see you coming, that you're not the one, because you have been cleaned on the inside. And so, I used that on yesterday, which was a very, very powerful show. And I'll be back on next Wednesday on her show. But today, we want to continue our conversation with Dr. Cheryl, about domestic violence and October being Awareness Month. You know, something that I have just recognized myself. It just seems like in the month of October, and you could tell me, you'll know better than me, that it seems like it's more heightened, that like everybody want to act crazy in the month of October. All of the women is getting beat worse and shot up, and you know, just so much stuff. Even for myself, my everything about what occurred in my life started in October, you know? And so the finale, I should say, the end of that story started October 24th, 2011. Wow. And so my question to you is am I just tripping, or is do you know if that's statistically proven, or what?
I don't know that there are any statistics to bear that out. I think that what happens is that everyone's awareness is heightened.
Okay.
Because it's being deliberately talked about, and you're getting an entire month of it. So quite naturally, from a spiritual standpoint, the enemy would want to clown during that time, right?
Right.
You would want to clown because there's heightened awareness, okay? Mm-hmm. But the good thing is that it's a time when victims, whether they're male or female, can access information and have a better idea of where to go to for help, because it takes time. It's not a snap decision. Oh, I'm leaving. Certainly not if you've invested and you know you've had these hopes and these desires and these dreams, and you know you have to acknowledge that this dream is in fact a nightmare. This has been a horrible decision, and what is broken within me that this was even okay? Why am I still here? And why, when I leave, am I finding myself coming back? And so I think in October, there's heightened awareness. And if you pay attention, after this, you don't hear a whole lot. And what's interesting about it is that during the holidays, you would expect that maybe it would spike. Well, the abuse probably does, but the reporting of it does not.
Gotcha.
The reporting of it does not, because we don't want to ruin the holidays for the children. We don't want to disrupt Thanksgiving for the family. You see what I'm saying? And so it's not that the abuse isn't happening, but it's not being reported. People are trying to wait until the beginning. You know how we have this thing about the new year. We're going to wait at the first of the year. I'm going to do something about this. So from October to December, you know, someone might be getting beaten. They might be getting strangled if they lose consciousness or not. They are being subjected to financial abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and it's not being reported. Because traditionally, we think families are supposed to be together. What we're not understanding is it's not really a family.
Right.
My God.
Yeah.
It's not really a family.
What is amazing to me, I know in my story, I learned to function in dysfunction.
Oh, yes.
And you know, that's the reality of so many, that you just learn how to function in that. You know that this is wrong. You know,
it's even no way you can.
Is no way that you cannot. Yeah, there's no way that you cannot. You may deal with it. You may act like it's not so bad. And one of the things that Katrina said that I was not aware of on yesterday, she said in her abusive marriage that she felt like her mom didn't fight back. And if only she would fight back. And I didn't even think of that concept. You know what I'm saying? That you hit me, we going blow to blow. So I'm going to fight you back because my mom did not fight back. And only she had fought back, maybe she would still be alive. And I never thought about that concept until she said it yesterday. And there's so many people like that, you know, at least I'm fighting back, you know, he got a scratch on his shoulder, your eye black, your nose blush, you got busted, you got 2 teeth loose, but he got a scratch. Because at the end of the day, we are not built to be able to whoop a man. And I don't care who we are, you know, and so you may be able to try to defend yourself, but eventually he is going to overpower you if you don't have some safety techniques that you done learned and all that kind of stuff, and you got karate and black belt and red belt and all that, you're going down. And so I've never thought about that concept. And so as women out there that, know that they're being abused, but say, well, at least I'm fighting back.
The tricky thing is a trap. It's a trap because that fighting, the adrenaline rush, the feeling of empowerment, no matter how misinformed, it's all very addicting.
Gotcha.
It's all very addicting, okay? And it's still trauma, and it still rewires the brain. So now I'm hooked into fighting you back, and I'm telling myself that I'm accomplishing something, when in fact I'm helping you to destroy me is what I'm doing.
Wow.
I've allowed you to change who I am and how I function. I've allowed you to change who I am at the core of who I am. And now I'm fighting a dude. I am a dude. Like we both men. But I want you to treat me like a woman. You see? And so it's a trap. And so here's the other thing from a purely practical standpoint. I'm fighting you back, right? And it can become a mutual abusive situation, a mutually abusive situation. And if the police are called, everybody's going to jail because everybody has bruised up each other. Right. And so you're no longer a victim at that point. And most law enforcement, most people aren't trained to look at the totality of the relationship. They only know that they got a call, they came to this instance, and everybody's got black eyes. Okay. So everybody's going to jail. They're not trying to figure out who started nothing. Okay. You wounded, everybody, let's go. And so now you have a record. Now you have a criminal record. This is going to affect your life for the rest of your life if you're with them or not. You see what I'm saying? Right. And so the key is self-control. I know in my situation, in the middle of a dispute, first of all, it's like I talk to people all over the world all the time. It's very rare that I meet someone that I can't interact with or have a conversation with, no matter what your walk of life is. Why am I not getting along with this person? This is like the only human ever born that I have this issue with. What is that?
What's the problem?
And so when I pay attention to it, what the enemy will do, what the abuser will do. So I'm trying to address the spiritual folk and the ones that, hey, aren't sure that they believe in God, whatever. Okay, so however you look at it, the abuser will hone in on something that you feel obligated to respond to for whatever reason. I'm a clinician. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a preacher. Everything that I do involves me responding, doesn't it? It'd be wrong for me not to respond, right? So now you're tapping into my core values. You've asked me a question, you have a concern, you have a burden. It's my responsibility, right, to respond to that, right, and to minister to that. And so that's what he would do. He would ask me a question that wasn't really a question. Okay. You see, knowing that I would feel obligated to respond, and then knowing that he could try to spin it into a disagreement. And I always hated how I felt after those interactions. And in one of these interactions, we were in the kitchen. I'll never forget this. It's like I had an epiphany. It's like God said, hello, let me help you so you can stop doing this. And I realized when I could master my response to the shenanigans, God will deliver me. He will deliver me as soon as I master me. Yeah. That means I don't allow you to pull me out of character. I don't allow you to cause me to punch you in your face because you punched me in my face, because now I'm a criminal too. Okay. Right. I don't allow you to cause me to curse you out. Right. Okay. Because that violates my core values. So once I've done that, now I don't even feel good about myself anymore. So what I've done is I've helped them. I have strengthened the hand of the enemy by allowing him to pull me out of character. And I'm telling you, when that bell went off in my head in the middle of a dispute in the kitchen, I'll never forget it. I said, well, now look at God. If I can just rein this in, I'm gonna let you take me there. I'm not gonna let you take me there, and it's gonna be uncomfortable not to respond to your seemingly innocent question. But what I know is that it's not innocent. I know it's not innocent. Oh my God! So when the rules of engagement, and I said this in one of the books that I published, when the rules of engagement need to change, you have to change with them.
That's good.
You got to be able to roll with them. You can't stick to that old way that you function because it's working against you now. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to respond to every question you ask me. I don't have to. You can stomp around the house and not talk. I prefer it that way at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, don't talk to me. Just don't even talk to me. Pretend I'm not.
And once you figure out that you got to break their power over you. Yes. I will never ever forget my ex-husband would say to me at times, you know, you get like, I'm leaving, and I would be like, can't leave. Well, the boys didn't need him, and I needed them too, but I would put it on the boys because he made the money and I didn't. And in my mind, I was going to live up under a bridge if he left with his paycheck, okay? Because that's what the enemy had showed me. This ain't the first time I've said it, and it won't be the last time. And so I would say, you can't leave these boys need you, right? And so I will never, ever, ever forget. This Saturday morning, it had been volatile, you know, for about a week and a half. And this Saturday morning, it just blew up. And I had to go to work. I had a training in Lorain County, which is about 45 to 50 minutes away from where we lived. And it was at the library. And these people had already pre-registered and everything. This is for my job. So all of my clients, providers, they were waiting for me, right? So I got to get there, and I got to get there on time because it's just me, right? No way to call them at all. So we had this big blow up, and he was like, I'm leaving. I'm tired of you. I'm gone. Da, 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 da. And normally I would say, no, you can't leave. This day, I said, okay, goodbye. You can do whatever you want to do. And when did I grab my boys, brought them in the family room, and I told them, I said, listen, I said, your dad is getting ready to leave. I said, it's okay. I said, I need you guys to get dressed because this is like, my training was like, say, at 10 o'clock, and this is 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, I need you to get dressed. I said, because I called a friend and coming with their boys to take them to their house. And I told, I told him, I said, when you come in this house, I told him what was going on. I said, when you come in this house, I said, I don't want you to ask him no questions. I don't want you to try to counsel him. I don't want you to try to tell him to stay. He is leaving, and I'm all right with it. Because the bridge is here I come. And I was going to be all right with that. My house at that time was about 1.5 miles from the freeway. Before I got on the freeway, this is when we first got phone calls because he knew he had to get me there because I had a rebel phone. By the time I hit Lorain County, I wasn't going to have no service. This is before what we have today. And he called my phone, and I thought it was one of the boys. And I answered, and he was like, these boys are upset. And I was like, okay. And he was like, do you want me to leave? And I was like, I'm not the person to say it for you to go in the first place. He was like, well, I'm not going to leave because these boys are upset. I was like, okay, hear this. After that, he has said it, following that in arguments and the whole nine. And every time I was like, goodbye. Do whatever you got to do. And I would leave on the room, turn on the back to doing what I was doing. And I ignored that because I had broke the power. He no longer had that power. He no longer had that control. So it didn't work. And I meant every word. Right. I meant it the first time I said it, and I meant it every single time after that. And so those times that I get ready to leave, they became minimized. Because it no longer worked. And so we have to understand that in the abuse is manipulation and control. All of that is interchanging to get you, to have you fearful and afraid of all the things that could happen to you if you and this person are no longer together. The men tell women they're fat. I had to tell a woman, He told this woman that I was ministering to, you fat, ain't nobody gonna want you, ain't nobody gonna want you and them kids. I told her, I said, listen here. I said, it is men that marry women with 7 kids and 7 different baby daddies, and they be 400 pounds. They love them. They take care of them kids like they theirs. You'll never know it if they didn't tell it. I said, so don't you allow him to tell you that nobody else is going to want you. Don't allow him to beat up your self-esteem, your self-worth. See, my ex-husband knew that wasn't my case. He already knew you couldn't tell me that, because I already knew. And because I used to tell him, you're leaving me vulnerable. You let me go out here uncovered because you're never with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this in a New York minute. I ain't the prettiest on the tree, but I ain't the ugliest. I get some attention. So you need to be paying some attention. You need to be going. You need to be doing. And he never was. He never was. So then that's a whole nother, especially for a woman of God that is trying to live holy and live right. That's a whole nother animal. Because here you got attention from people, and you can't receive it. And for me, I think the worst position that any man and or woman could be in is to be married, but yet single.
Right. You're being held hostage, essentially.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I wanted to say something about that. Let me throw something right in here, Pastor Cheryl, and then I typed you a question. I really want you to I think Roz sees it too. But listen, what you said that, Roz, and I had wrote something down because my mind don't retain, but divorce happens before it happens.
Yeah.
Separations happen before they happen. And the thing, I think that one of the things that everything that makes for progress in our life, I see that the first thing that comes in before we can recognize God's grace is that the enemy will send in fear.
Yes.
Before we can discover power, love, and a sound mind. I'm scared to be by myself. I'm scared of what's going to happen if I don't have this relationship. I'm scared if I don't have that paycheck. I'm scared. And so when, if we could ever speak to that fear, we all are assigned to be communicators and to create, as an African man said years ago to some preachers, create an imagination. In other words, create a thought process in people. If we could ever get to that fear center in people, I was by myself before I was married. I wasn't hungry. Y'all know that. This is compounded. I wasn't ugly. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't unemployed. But it's something funny about how that the enemy amplifies and makes all of that like it's going to be your estate if there is a separation and a divorce, and there's already been a separation and a divorce.
And it's important to understand this about how an abuser's mind works, no matter who it is that they are very self-centered. They're not attaching to anything that doesn't have anything to offer. That's good. You have to have a whole lot to offer. They're greedy. So you have to have a whole lot to offer for them to even be interested in attaching to you. They will not attach to someone that is empty. They won't. So the fact that they even are trying to have power and control is confirmation that you carry something that you probably haven't even figured out yourself yet. Yeah. And so many of us don't even know. Many of us don't know who we are. We don't know what we carry. And that's a dangerous position to be. You don't want your enemy to know more about you than you do.
Wow.
That's not that, that playing field needs to be level. So it's important that we confront that fear that Pastor Gail is talking about, because mature love, the Bible says, perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment.
Yes, torment.
Fear has torment. It'll be in the back of your mind all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. So once you become healthy, you understand, listen, if you can look at me and not see my value, if you can look at me and not assign the proper value, you're too foolish for me to be dealing with anyway. You're not worthy of me. That's what's really going on here. You are too stupid to understand who I am. So we can't have anything. We're unequally yoked coming out of the box.
That's good.
If you don't understand who I am. If you do understand who I am and that intimidates you, that means you're operating in fear. So it still won't. It still won't work because in your mind, I'm your enemy. In your mind, I'm someone that you need to compete with and you need to subdue and you need to have power and control over. Wow. So it'll only work with someone that is healthy and who understands who they are, and they don't need to demean you to feel important. And so this is what I tell people. If you need for me to be depressed and downtrodden and ready to jump off the highest building, you just keep it moving because that's not who I am. And I'm going to work your last nerve because that's not who I am. You know, I understand today where my help comes from. Yeah. And I understand today who I am. Yeah. And I understand today, not even in the fullness, but that I do grasp, I know what I carry today. And when you do, you are repulsed by the enemy. It doesn't attract you, it repulses you. Like it almost triggers my gag reflex. Okay? And 99% of the time, the wrong person's not going to approach me anyway. They will not. I've had people come to me and say, you know what? I have liked you for the longest, but I know better. I know I can't do what I do. I know I can't. I'd be in trouble with God if I tried it. I just can't. And then I've had people say, I'm scared of you. Good. Because that means you didn't have good intentions. You stay scared.
Right. Stay out of my life.
I've liked you for a long time, but I'm scared. I'm scared. Okay, well then you did the right thing by not approaching me. You did the right thing.
Right.
You did the right thing. So we have to understand who we are. And when you do, then your internal dialogue is important. So that if the enemy says, if the abuser says to you, you're not this, you're not that, you're fat, you're this, you're the other, you can counter that in your mind. What I used to say to myself was, I don't have to respond to that right now. Now, I couldn't tell myself, I'm not going to respond to that ever because I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. This whole concept of not ever responding was that was a reach for me. Okay. So that has to be something that you can buy into in the heat of the moment. And so I would literally say to myself, I don't have to respond to that right now. Why would I do that? To break that power and control. I'm not responding the way you're trying to make me respond. I can clown later if I want to, right? I don't have to clown right now. So sometimes you have to walk it out a minute at a time. In that time, in the middle of that dispute, I don't have to respond to that right now. And if I ever said it out loud, it was really a struggle on the inside. I needed to hear it, okay? And not just think it. So you retain control of how you respond. Because otherwise you're in a position where now people have to try to determine who the primary aggressor is. Or, well, he hit you, well, you hit him back, or two wrongs don't make a right. And so now you've triggered all these chemicals in your brain, the adrenaline rush from the fighting and the fussing and the arguing, and you'll find yourself craving that. You'll find yourself determining that that's better than no interaction at all. Well, at least he's paying attention to me. At least she's paying attention to me. All right. And it's so unhealthy, and there's no positive outcome to that. And at the end of it, someone's going to end up dead, more likely than not, because the more intense the interaction, it increases. So us just mutually cussing each other out is not nearly as rewarding as me punching you in your face. Okay. So at some point, things get more intense. Just like any other addiction, you get the same high, right? Things have to get more intense to get a similar response emotionally or whatever. And it's so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy. And then you have to recover. And this is what people know. You have to recover. So you can meet the healthiest person in the world 6 months later, and you're a hot mess because of all of this battle, because of battle fatigue, really, because you've just been fighting and doing these things and saying these things that you're not even proud of yourself, because that's not who you really are. All right. And then the crafty abuser will say,
all of that is yes and amen.
What if your bishop knew that you threw that skillet at me? You hit me too. You left a mark on me too. Okay, so now you got that to contend with. So here's my thing. Let the enemy bring his own weapon to the fight. Don't give him yours. Make him bring his own. Make him bring his sweat.
That's real good. That's real good. Yeah. I know that my ex-husband, he fed off of his guts. Because I used to say to him all the time, you don't like camaraderie. You don't like peace and tranquility. You don't like getting along, because I'm telling you, I can count on one hand, and mine is about 4 fingers, that we ever went 7 full days without an argument. That he would do something to start the fight. And he couldn't help himself. And so he fed on it. It was like he had to get a fix. And if it looked like, now we went to 6 days, because I started counting. We went to 6 days several times. But that 7, that was far and in between, because he had to do something to get that shot. And then that triggered me. And so now we're at odds again, and the whole cycle goes on and on and on, over and over and over again. And somebody has to say, the person that's definitely being victimized has to say, you know what, I don't want this. This is not the way that I want to live my life. I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. And for the most part, a lot of women, we have more days, we got less days ahead of us than we do behind us. So you have to determine in your mind, do I want to the rest of my life? Am I willing? And, because you can bear down and go ahead and keep putting on the facade and keep doing the same thing that you've been doing. You've been doing it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 5 days, 10 days, 30, 33 days. You can continue on with that, or make a decision and say, you know what? I'd rather be by myself, because technically you already are. See, I was already alone. And I knew it. I was already alone. I did everything by myself. I went to movies by myself. You married? What you doing in the movie? And back by yourself. I never forget. I went to the movie by myself, and he was supposed to go, but decided, which he would always do, decided, he wasn't going. And I wanted to see the movie. It was something holiday with Queen Latifah and LL Cool J. That one. And I went to the movies. I bought my popcorn. I leaned the seat back, laid back, put my coat up over me, because I wasn't flashing like I am now. And it was wintertime. And I remember when the movie was over, I saw a deacon and a deaconess from my church. And they was like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, hey, how you doing? They was like, you like the movie? I was like, yeah, you like it? They was like, yeah, we love it. They was like, where Robert? I said, he didn't want to go. They was like, you here by yourself? I was like, yes. Because see, at that point, I stopped covering for him. He had the word. He was tired, all that. He didn't want to go. And so they look like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But nobody, they nobody investigated. You know what I'm saying? Ask me a couple more questions when you saw me on Sunday without you. Like, come on, sis, what's going on? A married woman ain't in the movies by herself. Did your boyfriend sneak out the back door? No, I was by myself because I wanted to see the movie and he did not want to. I went to dinner by myself. Why am I a married woman? I ain't talking about in between. I'm on my lunch break or I'm traveling for my job and I'm sitting here. I'm talking about full course, 3-course meal, salad, entree, appetizer, dessert, up in the Outback and the Red Lobster and all the other places alone. Something is wrong with that. So he taught me how to be alone. He taught me how to do it. So you already by yourself. Everybody don't know, but you know it, and that's more than enough, because you are not supposed to be married and alone. 2 becomes 1. God made Eve as a companion for Adam because it was not good for him to be alone. You gonna be alone, you might as well be by yourself.
Right. Pastor Gail had asked about emotional abuse, right? And how does a victim know that it's time to leave? It's time to leave when you realize that you're starting to question and doubt yourself. You are withdrawing from your support system. You find yourself lying for them, covering for them, making excuses for them. And it's important for people to understand that by the time it rises to physical aggression, to me, you know, someone putting their hands on you, what they're really saying is, you should have already been gone. That's good. Like, why are you still here? Why are you still here? You should have been gone. Because very rarely will they come out of the starting block putting their hands on you. They have to first test the waters. It's a game. They want to gain control. They want to subdue. They want to manipulate and use love bombing. We talked about that last week. Sweep you off your feet, not give you time to think, replace your thoughts with their thoughts. Okay, they want to be able to tell you what to think in all of that. And so here's what I had to ask myself. How do I feel when I'm in this person's presence? Do I feel good about myself? Do I feel positive and capable? Or do I feel like something stuck on the bottom of somebody's shoe? How do I feel when I'm with them? And how do I feel when I'm not with them? You know, I was fortunate in that my workplace, you know, moving from the military to working in psychiatric facilities and supervising staff, 90% of the people around me were men. And they viewed me as capable and intelligent in all of that. So I always had something to counter what I was being told at home.
That's good.
And so that's how God kept me. I always, and then I had to come to the conclusion, okay, I got 40, 50 people over here and this one over here. Okay, everybody can't be wrong, right? I can't be this horrible, unintelligent, you know, self-centered person that gets along with everybody but this one individual. So that was a key to me. Okay, something's off kilter here. Something's off kilter here. But how are you feeling? What is your health like? Because a lot of times, especially for women, if we don't talk about what's going on, then you get the physical stuff going on. The constant upset stomach, the indigestion, the insomnia, the loss of appetite, or eating everything in sight. You're eating and you don't even taste what you're eating. You're eating and it's not hitting the spot and it's not satisfying you because that's not what you need to fill that hole that is enlarging on the inside of you. And so how are you feeling? How are you feeling about life? Are you future focused? Do you have plans and goals? Are you moving towards something? Or are you stagnating? You understand what I'm saying? And so we have to really kind of turn our gaze inward and look at, okay, what is happening to me? If before I met this person, I was going to school and I was doing this and I had a goal, and now I'm not taking classes anymore, and they have my car all the time. What is happening to me? Am I growing? Am I moving forward, or am I stagnating? Am I happier with them or without them? Do I have peace when I'm with them? Do I feel safe when I'm with them? Am I walking on eggshells? Now I got to be careful about what I say, if I say, when I say, okay, then that's stressful. That's stressful. So what is your life like really? That's how you know. And I encourage people, don't stay until you feel like harming yourself. Don't stay until you feel like jumping off a bridge. Don't stay until you feel like swallowing a handful of pills or drinking a whole bottle of vodka. Get out of there. That's not okay. It's not okay. And the only way you stay in an unhealthy environment is you have to get sick yourself. Now, people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. You have to get sick to stay. You have to get sick to stay. And if that weren't true, you wouldn't have any recovery that you needed to do once you exit. Once you get out, you should be perfectly fine, but that's not the case, because you have to get sick in order to live with it. So it becomes a survival thing. You know, you dumb yourself down, you stop responding, you stop seeking to better yourself. You take a part-time job instead of a full-time job. You turn down a supervisor's position because you're being told at home you're not capable of supervising anybody. You can't even look out for yourself. And so when you find yourself no longer moving toward things that you've always desired, that's a huge red flag.
Wow. Wow.
That's a
I can
huge
attest
risk.
to that. When the
Wow.
Lord began to talk to me about starting a ministry, right? I was like, I can't start no ministry. How am I gonna preach around the world and tell everybody that Jesus is love and Jesus is real and come home to this hellhole? My life and what I am preaching, they do not add up. They're not synonymous. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They are at two. Like I can't do that. And then when it was only so, because he wouldn't let up, because that's just who he is. And then I began to do little things. Wasn't someone capable because he already knew the truth. And so he won't say that. But what he did was he didn't lend his support.
Right. Withholding.
You know what I'm saying? I remember when I had my very first prophetic conference, and I asked him, was he going to come? I was opening up on a Thursday night, and I asked him a few days before, because he knew the schedule and everything. And I said, are you going to come on Thursday night when I open up? He was like, no, I'm not coming. I'm like, I'm opening up. He was like, I'm coming on Friday. He didn't come here me. He came his, and which was fine, but I had to deal with that. And then I remember one prophetic conference, he hadn't come the entire conference, Thursday through Sunday. So it's Sunday. And I am begging him with tears streaming down my face to show his face at this conference. I got to beg you to come to support me. So anything that I did, I had little to no support from him. It was like, but anything that held my attention, anything that I wanted to do, he was always against it, even when it was something for him. He didn't even realize he was so against who I am, right? And anything that was Rosalyn, that he didn't even realize that he was going against something that I had planned for him. He was something. He was something. And I'm telling y'all, with women that try to hide it, and women that try to cover up. I see it in Mexico. I see it in Missouri. I be like, I may not say nothing because I lived it. So it is very familiar to me when you begin to do those things. And you're somebody that got a valid anointing on your life, but you have no support from your husband.
No support.
Or you're a woman that got a valid anointing on your life, and you just got to keep pushing him up and pushing him. And everybody know that the glory on you.
Right.
I mean, that's just how it be sometimes. And it is nothing that you have done on your own. It's just who God has called you to be and what God has called you to do. And so because they're so jealous of you and what you carry, and you know that, and you don't want to backlash at home, so you constantly putting them out. Okay, we gonna call my husband Ricky Ross to come and pray. We gonna call my husband to open the scripture, and we gonna call my husband, and you know good and well what he should be doing,
and everybody else know it too. It's like
it's passing out the program, and that's vice versa. That's vice versa. That's these men. You know your wife. All she is a first lady, but you're gonna make her a pastor, and she killing the sheep. She is your wife. God did not call her a pastor. God ain't what? Listen, God ain't crazy. Because the man a pastor, the wife got to be the pastor, or the husband a pastor. The wife the pastor, the husband got to be the pastor. No, this thing ain't throw something in a bowl and pick out what you want. You have to be called. Did he call you? Did he send you forth? So we have people that are pastors that their husbands have made them a pastor, and they have went to school, and they learned the verbiage, and they know how to mix and match the scriptures. So they got a drop of charisma. So now they the pastor, but in all reality, God never called them to. I see right through that, and same with a man. And so you think that you got to do these things so that you won't have to deal with the consequences at home. And if somebody's saying that you're wonderful and you kind and you bless me, they, instead of celebrating you and saying, you know what, you are wonderful, you are kind. And that word, not only that word bless them, that word bless me too. They shouldn't have been jealous because they ain't said about them. It's that, that's a Saul David issue. It just is.
Yes.
a very hurtful thing to deal with. I know that in my situation, we had a ministry to the homeless. That was supposed to be something he said God told him to do. Okay. I can talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. Okay. When God has anointed you, he's anointed you, and it works wherever you are, right? Like you don't have to turn a switch to turn it on or anything. And so we're ministering to 40, 50 homeless people. With like the Salvation Army allowed us to have a service, with them. We would meet with them every week. That service started to grow because the people were getting hope. You know what I'm saying? Hope. And then I would feed them also. So he just starts deciding, well, I'm not going. Well, hold up, wait. This is supposed to be your thing. Well, how you not going? Where they do that at? I'm not going. And he wouldn't go. So now I'm in a dilemma. See, this is what happens when you're not with who you're supposed to be with. Now I'm in a dilemma. What about these 40 and 50 souls down here, right? Who are hanging on to what we are teaching them just so that they can make it through the next day or two. Because they are going back to a blanket on the ground. They're in a cardboard box on the street. They're in a shelter that has bed bugs. I can't not show up. You see how the enemy will get you hamstrung. I cannot not be there for them. It's not their fault that he's tripping right now. Wow. So for 2 or 3 months, I would go and he wouldn't go. Or he would go and he would leave. Or he would try to pick an argument or something to throw me off before I got down there. When I realized, well, hold up. First of all, this is not even my assignment. Let the record reflect. God told you to do this. I'm supposed to be helping you, not doing this for you. And so I talked to the chaplain and I said, listen, the way things are in our relationship right now, I'm no longer able to come down here. I will come 2 more times because I don't want to leave you. I want to give you time to find someone else to put in here. And his response was, well, if you're not coming, he can't come either. Okay, so then I got accused of ruining his ministry that he wasn't even showing up for. You understand what I'm saying? It was so crazy. So one of the tricks that the enemy will use is he'll pull you into a position where now you feel obligated because of your core values, because of what you believe is right, because of what you've been taught in church, that you should carry the baton, that you shouldn't lead people. But the reality of it is, that's not what God told me to do. My job was to support him in doing it. He never told me to do it. And so we can be doing something that's a good thing on the surface, but it's not a God thing. It's not what he assigned to your life, or it's not what he assigned to my life. And he loves those souls. He's got a responsibility to make sure somebody pours into them, and it does not have to be me. Yes. And so that thing, but I struggled with that thing because I had established relationships with these people. I prayed with these people. They talked to me about their issues. How do I just disappear on them? You know what I'm saying? And so we have to be careful. We have to be so careful and prayerful and to listen to the red flags. Pastor Gail had a question in the chat about, is it more difficult? Yes, it is. It's more difficult for someone who is a person of faith, no matter what that faith is that they practice, to exit because of the dogma that is ingrained in us from a spiritual standpoint. And we have to keep in mind that most religions are founded on a patriarchal type foundation, where it's the woman's job to be submissive. It's her job to just put up with whatever. She is re-victimized. She is blamed. What are you doing? Well, he punched me in my eye. Well, what did you do that made him so upset that he punched you? Why did you make him have to punch you in the eye? Okay, so this is what a lot of times victims get, and it's hard to leave. Because what? Because you don't want to dishonor God. You don't want to dishonor God. Yeah. So it's not the people who don't care nothing about God. It's the ones who really do love him. They have a hard time leaving. They feel like they are failing him. They feel like they are violating a covenant, not understanding that when the emotional violence, when the neglect, when the physical and financial abuse takes place, that covenant is already shattered. That covenant is already destroyed. You're protecting a non-existent covenant
My God, that's awesome.
Yeah. And don't
It
allow
doesn't exist.
anybody to manipulate you and bamboozle you to stay in a situation that's dangerous to you and has been dangerous to you for years now. And here's my thing, because this was my thing. I would be like, okay, it's gonna get better. And I was always looking for a ray of hope, a little shimmer, shine, flicker light. And if I would see just any light, I would grab hold to that. But then the darkness would come and stomp that light out like it never existed. And what but a flicker anyway. And so people, they are showing you exactly who they are. And there's no amount of love that you can show. There's no amount of swinging from chandeliers that you can swing. They don't make that many. There's no amount of submission and obedience. And I don't care what you do for and to an individual. If they do not want to change on their own, they will never change. Women have babies for men, thinking that's gonna make them change. That just make you have 3-4 babies that you take care of on your own. A baby ain't gonna make them stay. A baby ain't gonna make them change. It's not going to happen. It hasn't happened from the beginning of the time. We can look right in the beginning in Genesis with Rachel and Leah. Leah having all them babies, but the man still wanted Rachel. And so it ain't gonna make him love you. It's not going to make him stay. It's not going to make him change. If someone loves you, they are going to show you and they are going to tell you. If those two things, they work hand in hand. They may not say I love you every day, but they showing it to you every day. You don't question it. People that I love, they're not sitting back wondering, do I love them? They already know that I do, because I show them that I care. I am there for them. I display my love like God did for us. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. For God so loved the world is wonderful in and of itself, but he wouldn't have never been able to display that love if he didn't give. Because that's what love does. It gives and it keeps giving. And when you have somebody that's all they doing is taking. I will never forget, was at a fellowship, a marriage fellowship with my ex-husband, and about 30 more couples or so, give or take. And the question was put on the table, who is the giver and who is the taker? And so people had to answer that, right? Went around, and all but two men. It was only 2 men that said that they were givers. And the women said that they were takers. And they were absolutely right. With these 2 men, they were the givers and the women was the takers. And so I said that I'm the giver, and my ex-husband said he's the taker. So when they got done with all of that, I said, this is sad. This is a shame. Those were my words. I said, because everybody sitting in this here fellowship, every wife should have said I'm a giver, and every husband should have said I'm a giver. Everyone.
Everybody, yes.
Should have said, when you got to me, if you ask right now my current husband, ask that same question. I'm gonna say I'm a giver, and you know what he gonna say? I'm a giver. Because that's how we flow. Because we understand what love is and how it is supposed to flow and operate. We had all of these people, and I believe we only had one person, and I'm just throwing that out there. I really don't think it was none, but I'm gonna throw one out there that both of them said that they were givers. And that's a sad shame, because that should never be that I'm in a relationship and I'm the taker. What? You don't need to be in a relationship. You need to be by yourself. You need to get you some cats, some birds, some fish. You need to get you to a crossword puzzle and do that. You do not need to be in a relationship with another human being if you are going to be a taker.
Absolutely.
Leave her alone. Leave him alone. And those of you that are givers, you do not want to be in a relationship with somebody that's all they doing is taking. Because I'm a witness that will get old, and that will get tired, and it will get old and tired fast. When you are a giver and you constantly giving, sooner or later, you're going to stop and say, you know what? I do want somebody to give something to me, because you're going to run out. your supply is going to run out and you're going to be empty. And if nobody is feeding or restoring you, then you will have nothing left to give. So towards the end of our relationship, he wasn't a giver and I wasn't either. I wasn't a taker because he wasn't giving, nothing to take. But I absolutely stopped giving. Absolutely did. And I was mad at me. And that's because I couldn't be who I was designed to be for him. But I was so upset with me. Yeah. Because I be my true authentic self. Now, let me say this for I'll let you close out because I want you to talk about your ministry and what you do and all of that. And I want to say this. When my current husband and I started first dating, and to ask me, he was doing all this for you. Like, yeah, in dating, because I'm thoughtful, I'm kind. That's what I do. That's what I am. And he would say, you know, he was crazy. He was crazy. And then right before we got married, he said to me, you know, I had to realize that was who you were. And that wasn't who you were pretending to be so we can solidify this relationship. You know, because people come with the pretense and you got to watch for that. Have to watch. All you got to do is pay attention because they go get at you and then you watch how they do to somebody else. Oh, because it's going to come out. You go see it. All you got to do is wait and stay out the bed and you can see 2020. When you get in the bed, all that go foggy. And so it go real foggy. And so what we have to do as individuals is in a relationship, if you are going to be in a relationship with another human being, if you are not a giver, I say this, and then I'm going to let you close us out, Apostle, and that is this. Selfish people should not get married, and selfish people should not have children. Absolutely. Should not. Get you a crossword puzzle and get you some fish and sprinkle a little food in it twice a day, and you'll be all right. So, I want to know how can people get in contact with you, if they need to talk, if they need some help, they need some counsel, they want to throw some questions to you. Please give us your information because we want our radio and TV listening audience and all the streams to be able to have your information so they can contact you or pass it on to somebody that they know that needs it.
Okay, so we have a closed Facebook group called Dominion Over Domestic Violence. So you can join that. I'm going to vet you. So you're not going to be an abuser and slip in there. And the Lord has instructed us to keep it small. So we keep it at a certain number intentionally. I look at every single person who asks to come in or who's recommended to come in, and they have to meet the criteria that God has given me. I'm not letting them in there because in the groups that are larger, they have a purpose and they have a place, but it's impossible to vet for who's really genuine and who's in there pretending to be a victim so that they can find their victim, which really endangers them. So we keep it small on purpose. We have a blog called it's Judah's Roar. And then the YouTube channel that we have is Judah's Roar DVAI, Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. We have over 50 videos on our YouTube channel. And if you want to help us to raise awareness, subscribe to the channel, schedule yourself for notifications. You can go on the YouTube channel and share a video to your social media platforms. And this is how you can help us to get the word out. There's a wide variety of topics regarding domestic violence, red flags, what to look for, financial abuse, the things that are going on internally, the things that cause us to become victims in the first place. And so, and we covered your prayers. Feel free to inbox me. My name is Cheryl Richardson. I have a page, Apostle Cheryl L. Richardson, and I have a ministry page, Lion of Judah, Global Impact Ministries. We're committed to doing this. This is what God has mantled us to do. We are committed to getting people free and to saving lives. We can literally save lives if we just share information and refer people to some place where they can get help. Also, domesticshelters.org, the hotline.org. There is help out here. There really is. There's help out here. There are lots of domestic violence advocates out here. We want to help you. We want you to live. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to force you to leave right now. We're not going to denigrate you if you leave and go back. We understand that this is all a part of the process. the goal is that you live so that you can walk in the purpose that God has established for you before the foundation of the world.
Amen. Well, we thank her. She has been here for 3 weeks. You can go to KZ Radio and you look at the previous thank you guys for today. We will be back on next Thursday. Please, please, please sow. That information is right there in the comment section. So $10 now, everybody, to the Cash App that are watching, and those of you that will watch by way of replay, go ahead and sow to help and everything on the air. We thank you so very, 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 very much. And we will see you on next week if the Lord say the same. And we surely want the Lord to say the same. God bless you.
Don't forget to vote.